Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Who What Now Gaming Podcast, the show for consumers by consumers, where we ask the questions: who are you, what got you into gaming, and what type of gamer are you now? I am your humble host, Josh Stewart, and today we have a second seat filled by a wonderful guest. You know him, you love him. Noah Chapman is back today as our co-host today, while we interview and have a fantastic conversation with a TTRPG live action role playing performance all around fantastic person and seemed to be a mutual friend of a previous guest for one of our episodes. Please help me welcome Rosie.
Hello.
I'm
Hi,
starstruck.
my name is What? Hi, I'm Rosalie. Please feel free to call me Rosie for short. Any other nickname? As said,
that's enough already.
It's okay. I'm a TTRPG actual play performer. That's about what I do right now. I'm on a couple different podcasts, a couple different streams. I'm kind of all over the place, which is wild.
Well, sorry.
No, seriously, I love any version. I always wanted a nickname when I was growing up.
Yep.
And full disclosure, Rosalie is like a stage name, kind of.
Yeah.
It's really easy to find my legal name out there, but I just wanted something that was not my legal name and not close to my legal name. So
I love that. I love that so much.
So I intentionally chose one that could be shortened because I've always wanted nicknames.
I love that. I unfortunately already have a super short name, so it's like my wife will just call me Jay, and I'm like, yeah, I guess that works, because Josh is already so short as it is. So it's like, whatever. Well, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. I would like to let's just start off just with the bare basics here. Who are you as a person, as a content enjoyer, as within the TTRPG realm? Let's get to know you.
Yeah, so I actually only got into TTRPGs in general. I started playing them in 2020, actually.
Nice. Good year.
Not because of the pandemic per se. I actually was an essential worker. I was going to work Monday through Friday every single day in the healthcare industry. I wasn't working directly with COVID patients, but we couldn't shut down.
Fellow healthcare worker right here.
Yeah. But because of the pandemic, more people were playing online, and therefore I finally had the opportunity to join a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. I'd wanted to for years since I got into the Adventure Zone around like 2017, 2018.
I love that.
Maybe. Wow. But never had the chance to actually play. Nobody that I knew of played D&D in my high school or anything. It just wasn't really a thing that I knew of in the area I live in. And so when somebody I knew online was like, hey, I'm gonna do a game via Discord, I jumped in, and at that point I had gotten into Dimension 20, and just the ADHD, neurodivergent hyperfocus was like, great, this is your whole life now.
Yes.
Yes.
My first character was a Swarmkeeper Ranger.
There you go. Nice.
And then about a year ago now, actually, I think it was October or November of 2023, my friends really encouraged me to start. I saw a casting call for a Girl by Moonlight game, was the first one I ever applied for. I was like, I want to play this magical girl game so bad. My friends encouraged me to. I applied for that and a couple others, and now I'm here.
That is awesome.
I got really, really lucky. I didn't make it into that Girl by Moonlight game, but I did apply for a couple Tabletop Tailspinners Network shows. And if anybody follows me, you know I am a diehard TTN regular now. Very lucky. I got cast in Improv Madness first. Those episodes aren't even out yet. We recorded them in November. My first ever thing I was recorded in, it was in November. And then the first thing that was ever published was that spring of 2024. I've only been published, what month is it? 6 months. Because I think the first thing I was ever publishing went up in March.
Wow. That's awesome.
That's amazing.
It's really, really snowballed.
That really speaks to your talent, though. I mean, it's not just, luck is definitely a thing, but like you're performing in these things, like people clearly can see what you're about and what you're doing, and just props to you from going from nothing to
absolutely
being a performer like this. Wow.
Yeah.
That speaks to your talent.
I've always been kind of a big personality in the room. I was a craftsmanship-focused cosplayer, so I did cosplay masquerades on stage and stuff, but I was never I was a theater kid to the extent that I sewed costumes for our theater club in our high school.
Oh,
I had
nice.
a couple really tiny roles on stage. My senior year of high school, our fall play was I don't remember the name of it, but it was a play within a play. It was a bunch of Southern rednecks putting on a production of Romeo and Juliet. And I played the little old lady who was sewing costumes on stage opening night. You can imagine why I got that role.
Like, we need somebody to sew this stuff. Yeah, you get over here.
Yeah, so I didn't have a lot of acting experience up to this point, but I got cast in Improv Madness and I got cast in Magnificence, and there's a moment, if you subscribe to the Tabletop Tales for His Coffee, you can get our talkback episodes. Ooh. And in the first one, Emma says something along the... Emma's our producer and also a cast member on Magnificence. She says something along the lines of, everybody in this cast is such an incredible actor, and I went, oh shit, I'm an actor. Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
You gotta add that down to your
that
to
moment,
your resume.
You're like, holy moly. Yeah.
That is fantastic. So have you always had the, you said you had the, the big personality in the room and such. Have you always had the desire to do some form of like acting or performance and such?
No, I guess performance, yes. When I was a kid, I liked to sing and stuff. I was in band, I was in choir, but I never did theater performance. I just had the idea in my head that to be an actor, it was like, the main thing about acting is you have to memorize lines. And I was like, oh, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I've always 100%. Been a storyteller, I think. I wanted to write when I was a kid. I thought I was going to be a fantasy novelist.
Ooh.
Turns out I'm more of a writer's room type of writer where I like bouncing off of other people. And I think that's what I really, really love about the storytelling that we do through actual play.
Yeah. Shout out to the riffers. I totally get what you're saying. Mm-hmm.
That really is truly fantastic. And I feel like I feel so at home right now because I can relate to that so much. I was the class clown. I was the, the storyteller. I was the goofball and stuff. And I've always, I always have the big, the wild personality. I have no problem putting myself out there. I don't really get embarrassed too much. I enjoyed like playing it up. I enjoy like, if I'm streaming and, and my lovely community is like throwing things at me and stuff. And I love to play into it. I love the reactions and stuff. Yeah. But it is one of those,
not to get too deep 5 minutes into the interview or whatever.
No, please.
When I was in school, I did have this big personality. I did have the cheerfulness about me that I tend to have, but I also have a ton of social anxiety in real life, honestly.
Me too.
But being on stage is completely different.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I've 100%. I've been I don't do like I said, before we started recording, I don't do the big crowds super well. It's kind of overwhelming sometimes, but I love streaming and I love being like, kind of being in my own space while also being able to like, perform or be goofy or, do all those things. And that's why I think truly D&D has been such an eye-opening experience, especially for, those like us, like who love the performance, but kind of sometimes are restricted by anxieties and stuff. And it is truly a fascinating, world to dive into as we kind of open up ourselves while also being able to freely express what we want to express without being held down by the anxieties and stuff.
Yes.
It truly is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah, I know when I first started DMing D&D games, I would have these moments in the middle of the sessions like, holy moly, I have a bunch of people that have agreed to just listen to my brain's ramblings.
Yeah.
And, for a second, it would be just like, I would feel that kind of anxiety kind of filling up. But then I'm like, wait, this is exactly what this is for. And to be able to just kind of let go and know that everyone knows why we're here. And it's just been, man, it's therapeutic for sure.
Yeah, I have definitely had those moments of me being in a game and going, oh crap, I'm talking too much. Then somebody's like, no, God, keep going. This is great.
That's like my biggest fear when I do a lot of these things is just talking too much. That's why I do enjoy like streaming is something where I can just fully like let go because that's the whole point is just me talking the whole time. But there are some times, especially doing like podcasts, where I'm just like, hey, maybe stop talking for a hot minute and let your guests do some talking.
I need to sit down and figure out start my own just like hanging out streaming stuff. I'm not much of a video game person, mostly due to technology limitations I had up to this point. I have a better computer and stuff now though, and I'm like, I've had people ask me when I'm going to be starting to stream. So.
Absolutely. And you know what? Let me be the first to say it's do it. It is so amazing and fun, and you do not have to be a huge gamer to enjoy, streaming and stuff. You can do anything. We've had guests previously on the shows who shout out to Lucas, who does we'll set the camera up and draw and paint and stuff, and it's and sometimes like I didn't actually think that it would be something that I would spend hours on and stuff, but there are times where I'll be kind of working on my own side projects and stuff, and I'll throw a stream up and like on the TV and stuff, and I get to watch this creation as it unfolds and stuff, and it's there is an audience for every streamer out there, and you have such an amazing personality. I think you would nail it, and I'd let me know as soon as you do it, because I would love to follow and subscribe 100%.
Absolutely, will do. It might be on the 2025 list. I don't know. I need to sit down and figure out that goal list.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Totally.
Absolutely. I mean, I wanted to stream back in 2020, and it took up until this year for me to actually do it. So, I mean, take your time. But it is absolutely worth it, 1,000%.
Yeah.
So you are obviously with the TTRPGs and stuff. Would you could you tell me more about how you get into, either a character or creating that character, finding that personality? And because I have noticed that on that show, everybody dresses up, and
you're talking about for Twisted Fates for the Candela
sorry,
stream. Yeah,
ADHD. It's all over the place.
That's okay.
It's the depths that each of you go into to play your characters is not only is it inspirational, but it brings such a new level of immersion into that story, and I so badly want to talk about it.
Yeah, so I'm actually just a little bit of a power gamer secretly behind the scenes. It's not a secret. It's not a secret at all. I enjoy the crunch and the rules of TTRPGs. I really, really do. And so usually my starting point is actually like going through it's Monster of the Week, it's playbooks. If it's D&D, I'm looking at the classes, it's subclasses and mechanics and all that. And I kind of I'll start with like a story concept. So for Sage, who I play Magnificence, I guess this is minor spoilers, but it's pretty obvious pretty early on.
Ooh, lucky us.
The original concept for Sage was this is a person who wanted to be a cleric, couldn't because she just couldn't connect with a god. She just wasn't chosen. And therefore said, fuck you, and became a wizard instead.
Absolutely.
Hell yes.
And so that was kind of the original concept. And then I take like a vague concept for Cecily, who's my character in the Twisted Face Candela game. It was, I want to play a widow. I'm thinking like Winchester Mystery House kind of thing, because originally I was thinking that because I was like, oh, maybe I'll play a medium. Then somebody else in the group was like, I want to play the weird category. So I was like, okay, so let me kind of take this and do something else. Right. She turned into Junie Cortez from Spy Kids, where her husband had died and she didn't know what happened to him. She found out he was part of Candela, therefore she joined Candela.
Wow.
And so I take those concepts and then I kind of turn on the crunchy mechanical part of my brain at that point. For Sage, it was, I cannot stand the thought of not having a bonus action at any time in combat. I need to make sure this wizard has a bonus action at level 3.
God, yes, 1,000%. I am so there with you.
So I took Cleric Magic Initiate because A, she's a human. I need a light cantrip. Gotta have it.
Mm-hmm.
Can't not have it. Number 2, Spare the Dying, because when we started the campaign, we did not have a cleric yet.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. No, actually, my character will never be a cleric. I did that on purpose. I'm getting there. Number 3, bonus action. Shield of Faith. Let's go. I'm playing an Abjuration Wizard.
Yes.
The cognitive dissonance. She's telling herself, I'm taking medicine checks. I'm using my arcane ward to protect people. She fully does not know that she has Cleric and Magic Initiate.
Yeah.
She does not know it.
I love that.
Damn.
And once I figure out those little crunchy bits, then I kind of go back and I go, okay, what do these crunchy bits say about the character? So great example of that is that Sage's wisdom score is 12. You have to have a wisdom score of 13 to multiclass into cleric.
So
she will never be able to.
Purposefully restricted your character.
Gosh darn. Man, I love that. I love so much that
devious.
That idea of you have you know what you want, then you go in and do the pieces, and that informs how you have that's like the finisher for the character. That's so good. I know, because so many of these like YouTubers and stuff that go through character creation, I love them. They're wonderful, but it seems like it's like two camps. It's like the Ginny D's who are like, it's all about the character. It's all about what I feel about this character and what I want them to be. And then let's just make the structure work. Ginny D's no slouch with understanding D&D, not at all. No shade.
100%.
But then there's those other channels that are all about like, you have this little, you want to be a barbarian, and now we're going to do all the numbers. And so I've always been that guy too, who's like, I really care about like the personality and the what makes my character unique, but I never feel it's complete until I have all those little pieces. And then all of a sudden I'm like, that really works for that. And that really explains all that. So that's really awesome.
One of the only gifts that I have bookmarked in Discord for regular use is the Por qué no los dos? It's truly, I have a lot of fun, or my Camp Meadowview character. I was in Camp Meadowview, which was a Monster of the Week mini-series for Game Master Monday. You can watch it on YouTube now. It's all wrapped up and everything. My character for that was Chloe. She's the mundane. She's literally just a girl. And I had so much fun building her character. I made a character that is just harvest EXP.
Oh yeah.
Almost everything I took on that character was to be able to get more EXP. She had always the victim, which was if you are kidnapped by a monster, you gain experience. If your companions protect you, they gain experience. And then I also had, don't worry, I'll go check it out, which is if you go off alone to check out something scary, you gain an experience point. And like every session I was like, so does this count as me going off on my own to investigate something scary? Does this count as a monster kidnapping me? It was so much fun.
It gives me such like Daphne from Scooby-Doo vibes. Like it's so like every time Daphne gets like captured, taken, put somewhere else, goes off on her own, always comes back with like information, somehow discovering actual plans and stuff. And you're like, how is this constantly working? Like,
it's really, I cannot contain the min-maxer, but I kind of min-max to the concept.
Yeah.
For sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
It might not make sense on paper to some people, but it's totally making sense for what you're doing. And it is getting every little bit that you can in that build.
Yep.
Wow.
It's a cycle. I have the concept, I min-max, the min-maxing informs more of the concept, so on and so forth. Absolutely.
And I think with the passion for the creation of a character, especially with like a personality, tropes, and character, decisions and such brings such a level of immersion to the story that I think, you know, a lot of times you won't get when you get a like a party together where they're saying, okay, I'm a barbarian, so I'm going to do 1,000% all strength things all the time forever. And then, you know, I have, you know, the magic person who's only doing these specific things all the time. And then your rogue who only does, and it's like you get that that standard typical, you know, D&D trope, you know, kind of togetherness. But, you know, from what you're doing, it makes that creation so much more lively. So absolutely props to you. 1,000%.
I've also discovered recently that I'm having a lot of fun with pre-gen characters, actually. I was surprised by that. I got to play in just the standard Daggerheart playtest that's been happening. Using those pre-generated characters, playing through that pre-written adventure. And I was like, I really had a lot of fun looking at that and figuring out how to translate into my own version of this character, looking at some of the really quick, vague personality traits I was given and going, well, why would they be that way?
Right.
And putting my own spin on it and stuff. I'm coming up, going to be guesting in a podcast as a character that started out as an NPC. This probably won't be out for a long time. This is like way down the road. So, but this character started out as an NPC. And she was mostly described like vaguely in the background. No, the players never role played with her before this, but had kind of a little bit of a base. I didn't get to choose her species. I didn't get to choose some of her backstory, but some more like deeper backstory I get to establish. I'm having so much fun taking this character that is, what can I say about this? A part of a royal court, I will say that. I knew what her position in that royal court was, and I knew what her species was, and I got to decide, like, what's her class? What's her subclass? I got to work together with the DM for that game to figure that out, and it was a lot of fun.
Man.
So it's really,
awesome.
I do love taking the character sheet and letting that inform the personality. That's been it's a big thing for me, so.
Oh, I think that makes so much sense, because when you play these games so much, finding those new ways to approach, you know, the process can be so fun. One of my most anticipated game systems that I really want to try is Dungeon Crawl Classics, because I love that idea of this where you start, I forget, it's got a name. It's like where you start with like 4 pre-generated characters, and your first couple sessions are just basically running those characters through a gauntlet, and then whichever one survives,
like,
that's your character that you take into the campaign. And
that sounds so fun.
I want to do that so bad. I can't even tell you for that exact reason.
Oh gosh, a couple of years ago, I think MCDM came out with like something like that in their Arcadia magazine. Yeah, that sounds really fun. I would love to do that.
People are like, if you, by the time you end up with that last man standing, they said you will love that character just as much, if not more, than any character you carefully crafted on your own.
Yes.
They said you are bound together so tightly because you went through hell.
That sounds like so much fun. I
know.
Love that.
I can't wait to do it sometime.
That's fantastic. I didn't even know about that, but I was fully engaged. I was like 100%. I feel you.
Oh man, I think I told you about that on the way home from PAX, and you know, you were dreaming in your head about this podcast
post-convention.
You cannot. Oh my god.
No.
That's...
Any discussions that happen in the car, you got to write it down.
Holy cow!
I'm driving, running my mouth, and Josh is just sitting there. It's a podcast, and we can stream, and we're gonna do it. He was already here.
I've been in that car so many times. This was pre TTRPGs for me. I cannot tell you how many times my best friend and I were in a car on our way back from a convention making cosplays that will never happen, but we're just so excited about the potential.
I'll tell you. Yeah, it was PAX Unplugged, and it was that light bulb moment for me that said I can do this. And we were actually watching the panel with Dungeon Dudes and Ginny, and it was like the whole, like, you have a voice, like use it, like, and people will, you know, follow you, and people will, like, you know, check out your things, and like, just because you don't think that someone doesn't want to listen to you doesn't mean that they, you know, actually don't want to listen to you. And so it is something that was very, you know, it was sticking in my mind pretty heavily. And but also We ran
Literally
ourselves.
what I was thinking when like you reached out. It was like, hey, you want to be interviewed? I was like, me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I think your message was like, just a heads up, I don't make my own content yet, but if you still want to talk to me, I was like, of course I want to talk to you. You kidding me? Like, yeah. That's what this whole thing's
I'm a
about.
player. I'm not a GM. What?
That's what this is all about. It's like, yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think during that convention though, Noah and I we really ran ourselves thin on that one, and also we were so excited. Especially I can't really speak fully for Noah, but I was so excited to see everything and anything that I didn't eat all day.
I was like, hey, do you want to stop and eat? He was like, I just don't know if we're gonna have enough time. I think we better just go back in there. And I was like, all right, there we go. And then
hey, you out there,
rough.
you go to a convention, you need to eat food and drink water.
Oh
okay?
my god, I know.
This is your mom speaking.
We
eat
did
some food.
We did so good when we went to too many games this summer. We were so much better. We planned ahead. We had a couple snacks. We were such good boys.
Yeah, we did. We did
it's so
such
important.
a good job.
It's so important.
It truly was. But I mean, I honestly, so I mean, I'm gonna assume you're a convention lover.
Yeah, I actually haven't been to one in a few years because, again, COVID happened.
Mm-hmm.
My best friend is a pharmacist, and she works with a lot of immunocompromised patients, and so we really had to put conventions on hold much longer than other people did in order to protect the people she works with. I actually have not been back to a convention yet. I think the last one I went to was September 2019, I think. Yeah, that's right. But definitely 2025, I'm working on planning. I also live in the middle of nowhere. So basically any convention I want to go to, if it's more than a 6-hour drive, which, Kansas City, is a 6-hour drive for me. So that's kind of the nearest place that has like big conventions.
Yeah.
Big.
Yeah.
That's a 6-hour drive for me, and so anything that's further than that, I need to fly.
Yeah,
I just need to fly.
Of course.
So it takes a lot for me to plan to go to a convention. I'm really hoping to make it out to PAX East next year,
nice.
And also Big Bad Con 2025. Those are my two 2025 cons I really want to get to. Both I will have to fly. I wanted to try and do PAX U, but again, with where I live, traveling in December is very, very risky.
Yeah, for sure.
So I posted about that on Threads, and a bunch of people replied like, the weather in Philly in December isn't that bad. It's like, no, it's not Philly I'm worried about.
Yeah.
You don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah, we're very fortunate. We're within a few hours of 4 big cities. So we get pretty we can make it to a lot of stuff. I've
been to a lot of very small anime conventions in my local area. But it's been quite a few years, and also I'm now in a completely different space. I haven't watched anime in such a long time, and that was like all I did before. So
you know what? I can actually kind of agree. I was big into anime, and I still we talk a lot about it on the show. I'll talk about it on streaming and stuff, and I still love talking about it. But I've been just so busy these last couple of years. I have not had a chance to sit down. Now, I will say, we did start sitting down. My kids are starting to get old enough where they're starting to show interest in these things, and they want to see. They're like, "Oh, what did you watch when you were a kid?" And I was like, "Sit down. We got a lot of episodes." And so my oldest is a Naruto fan, but also we've started One Piece, and and I was like, well, if we start One Piece now, by the time she's like 28, we'll finish it.
I've never been super into shonen. I got into My Hero Academia when it was first kind of coming out as the anime. My guilty pleasure is Food Wars. Don't tell anyone. But those are kind of the only shonen. So I like magical girls.
I was gonna ask. Yeah.
Yep. Magical girls and idols and the shoujo are kind of my thing. I'm still, obviously, still love them enough that I have them on my shelf behind me here. Of course. Watch Pretty Cure. That's.
Hey, there you go.
Hey, we love it.
I love that.
So, hence why I wanted so bad to play in a Girl by Moonlight game. It still hasn't happened. If you're out there and you're running Girl by Moonlight or Glitter Hearts, hit me up.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
if there was ever a large like mainstream like animated or like anime that was auditioning and you knew for a fact that you would get the part, what part would be your like dream position to play?
It's got to be a magical girls show, and I'm the yellow one usually. I usually for magical girl series.
Yeah.
My favorite is probably going to be the yellow one. If not the yellow one, then the pink one, unless it's Sailor Moon, in which case it's Sailor Jupiter.
Hey, there you go. That's you know what? That's not bad. That's not actually. That's really not that bad of a choice. Actually, I'll follow that one. All right, well done. Yeah,
I'm just gonna listen because I unfortunately do not understand any references here.
No, that's okay. Magical girl shows kind of have the color tropes a lot like Power Rangers. Magical girls are Power Rangers for 8-year-old girls.
Okay, basically, well then there you go. I'm there now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. There you go.
You got me there. Fantastic.
I said the yellow one, and anybody who's ever watched any season of Pretty Cure went, "Oh, okay, got it."
Yeah, they were like, done. It's in there. Yeah, no problem.
That's awesome.
Have you ever made any characters based off of like characters for like either roles that you're gonna play or just TTRPG, like just fun creations kind of things based off of any like shows or animes or anything, like any like inspirations?
Okay, so I have two that come to mind. One I played in a stream, and the other I have actually not had a chance to play at all.
Ooh, love it.
One, I was able to play Blazing Hymn on Bard Rock Cafe's One Shot Theater, and Blazing Hymn is a game. It's built in the Lumen system. Really, really fun. I really want to play more Lumen Systems game. It's a very combat focused system.
Yeah.
Oh god, absolute blast playing it. It was so Blazing Hymn is very based in Neon Genesis Evangelion and also Symphogear, which are two shows. If you don't know what Evangelion is, have you watched any anime if you don't know what? Classic giant robots. There's a lot of giant robots.
Right.
There's a lot of, and it has to be like young people piloting them. And Symphogear is a similar thing. Symphogear is like a combination of mecha and magical girl. I haven't actually watched it myself, honestly. But the premise of Blazing Hymn is that these young pilots of these hymnal units, they're like robo suits. And they're powered by your emotions and song.
Actually, I think I do know what we're talking about. That struck a pretty heavy chord with me.
Yeah.
I think I'm seeing it in my head right now because when I watched this, I don't think I ever got like deep into any of it, but I did remember seeing like a pretty extended clip where it was like. Because the first question I thought was like, well, what happens just like as a funny thought, but like what happens if someone's having like just a bad day?
Yeah,
you know, like things don't work. And it's like, oh, if you're in a terrible position and like you just get bad news, like, yeah, it's bad news bears for the rest of that time.
Yeah. So I'm a big Love Live fan. I don't know if you can see, she's kind of a little bit out of frame there, but the orange girly there, that's Takami Chika. She's one of my favorite characters of all time. I'm a really, really huge fan of the trope of somebody being inspired by another person and choosing to follow in their footsteps. And therefore ending up inspiring other people beyond them, the shining line of inspiration. And also the trope of them having to find a different way to do it because it didn't work for them in the same way that it worked for the person who inspired them. You're now seeing some common themes in the people that I've talked about so far. So yes. I made a character that was very, very inspired by Chika, and that trope. Ozara Akari from Aikatsu is another character that heavily inspired her, who was somebody who really, really had to work very hard and just, she wasn't naturally skilled at this, but she was such a big fan of somebody else who was like, I think we decided it was the inventor, that she just was like, I need to do this. And yeah, she was really fun to play, very tropey. I wore an orange wig for that stream and stuff. Had a really good time with that. And then the other one, I have the stupidest Hexblade Warlock.
What?
Well, okay.
Stupid.
So let me tell you a story, and I'm gonna let you guess where the story comes from, like what kind of media. Okay.
Okay.
So there is a story of 7 girls who were all living together in kind of a prep school kind of environment, and one of them captured a spider one day, and they kept it in a jar, and they were cruel to this spider, and that spider cursed them, and they were trapped in a nightmare world for such a long time that they became nightmare spirits themselves, and they were trapped in this nightmare world. And once they became nightmare spirits, and there was like a ghost hunter that went after them and stuff, and eventually, all things said, they ended up escaping from that nightmare world. What kind of story do you think this is?
Well, first off, you make that, please, because that sounds incredible. I'm over here like, this actually sounds like an amazing thing I want to watch.
I want to play a Hexblade warlock whose patrons are this group of nightmare spirits who want her to help them get out of this nightmare world.
Love that. I mean, I definitely am going to get this wrong, but I get so many vibes of like Spirited Away or like Princess Mononoke or like the like old school like Sailor Moon or like High School of the Dead kind of thing. Like, I mean, I'm definitely probably super wrong.
Yeah, no, this is a K-pop group.
So you knew we were not going to guess this.
There's a K-pop group called Dreamcatcher.
Dare you?
They've been around for a really long time now. They've been around for, I think, a full decade almost, if not.
Yeah.
They are a J-rock and metal flavored K-pop group.
Oh, I'm in.
Their first story arc was that.
Wow.
So good. That's so good.
And so I want to play a Hexblade warlock whose patrons are these nightmare spirits that are trying to get her to help them escape.
I love that.
Man.
Yeah. That is so good. Yeah, that was a good move. I will tell you what.
You're like, I don't think these two
I was like,
guys in their 30s with beards are going to know this, but
I was like, no, you sit down. I got this one. I'm going to nail this.
You gave it a valiant effort, man. I really give it to you.
Yeah, I've had this character design in the back of my head for a little while, based off of weirdly enough, kind of like the same concept. Not a pop group, but more of like a metal romantic poetry kind of group is how I like to explain them.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of the band called Sleep Token? If not,
here we go.
I'm going to completely open your world to amazingness. Okay. But there is their group there. They are fully masked. They do not have identities for a very specific reason, because their entire group is about the music and not the people behind the music and stuff. There are 4 total members. 3 of the members go by just a single number, and then you have the vocalist, who basically is like the face of the entire group, goes by Vessel. And the whole story behind Vessel is that he basically was, this romantic nobody kind of thing, and gets into like these, he's in this abusive relationship and stuff, and so he kind of channels this god that pretty much reaches out to him and says, like, listen, I'll give you everything that you want, but you have to, embody my, image kind of thing. And it is so glorious and beautiful, and I love it immensely. And I've wanted so badly to find either a one shot or a campaign or something to bring in this, like, I mean, I don't necessarily enjoy playing warlocks, but this would be this would have to be something that I would end up going with. But to have that patron who, like, is so willingly, able to give you everything and anything, but also will like restrict you in the most like diabolical but romantic way possible. It's such a trope that I haven't figured out how to play it yet, but it's It is so fascinating. So I'm actually kind of relieved. I tell you that story because I'm relieved that I'm not the only one who has taken something that like I just truly love from some other form of media and was like, this is what I'm gonna do now.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. There's so much. I hate to say I'm a K-pop fan because honestly, I try not to interact with other K-pop fans. They scare me. I'm not a stan. I really enjoy the theatrics of K-pop.
Of course, yeah.
And I just really like upbeat music, and I'm the kind of person where I'm constantly listening to some kind of background music, and it has to be above a certain BPM.
Yes. Yes, 1,000%.
And so,
yes.
like, ATEEZ is out there. Their concept, they're fucking time traveling pirates. You could easily do an ATEEZ campaign. Luna, hello? Let me tell you about the Lunaverse. I spent 3 hours explaining the Lunaverse to my friends once. People have become quantum physics majors because of Luna.
Wow.
I could totally run a campaign based on the YY by Y storyline of these girls escaping from the Garden of Eden. Are you kidding me?
Absolutely.
Man,
that's
ironically
one of their main
I had
songs.
no idea the depth behind these groups like this. I didn't know that was.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I had no clue.
Yeah.
They're so theatrical. I love it so
100%.
much.
Yeah, it really is like a beautiful like it's really fun to see a group that can, you know, make music that individual songs will be, you know, they're bangers, you know, they're upbeat, you know, everybody loves them and stuff, but when you put these things together, they tell a story that almost feels different than the songs themselves individually.
Yes.
And to be able to fully understand the group, you have to fully understand the story. And the story comes from, you know, something else that is just knitly, you know, put entwined in every single song, or there's like a little bit of information here and a little bit of information over there. And those, honestly, those are my favorite like bands. And I gotta say, you know, K-pop does an amazing job doing it.
Wow. Yeah, that really got. Oh, really? I think that's what so many people don't understand about that genre of music is that it has a whole concept that kind of is completely different from, you know, the Americanized stereotype of the pop star or the band or the rock band. It's a totally different vibe.
And you know what? I'll even kind of just bring that one full circle. I think that same concept that you just brought up, I think also is the same reason that is the stereotypically misunderstood information about TTRPGs and Dungeons and Dragons and stuff. Where it's the idea is that, oh, it's just a bunch of people rolling dice saying, oh, I'm going to hit him. And they go, okay, you hit him. And what happens? Oh, he died. It's no. Like, it is so much more advanced and in depth. And like, I have become, and like when you take a step back, okay, you take your favorite campaign you've ever been a part of. Okay. And you take that moment where you really like look back and you think, we're all just people, you know, together telling a story collectively, but the emotions are so real, as if these characters are real. And these memories that you have had with these characters are so real to you. You did go on these adventures. You did, you know, like that when you're in a crazy situation where one of your party members dies and they're making those death saving throws, and the party's doing everything and anything that they could possibly do to get those, you know, that character back. It's not like, oh, you're dead, rip up the character sheet. Like, that is hours, days, months, years that you have had, you know, with those characters. And when that character finally does pass away, you're like, there's a part of you that mourns. And that
I won't spoil anything. I won't spoil anything, but that Twisted Fates Candela Obscura game I was in, I will tell you those last 2 sessions. There was a full week between those 2 sessions, but oh man, I'm still emotionally recovering.
Yeah. But see, that's what makes an amazing story. That's how you know it was good.
I always tell people if you know, when I'm discussing D&D to people who don't play, or you know, when I hear kind of the tropes that I always tell them, if D&D or TTRPGs was what you are saying it is, I would have no interest in playing it. I just like, and that is honestly what kept me from it for so long, was that I didn't understand the depth that this game brings and what it can do to a group of people and what it can do for friendships. And
absolutely.
And once that light bulb went off, it's just a totally different thing. Now, of course, in that you start to love so many of those things about the game that maybe people do, like the combat becomes something that you look forward to. Like, again,
I'm the Pokémon.
Yeah, exactly. It's like in the end, it's like now I'm like, oh, I need another monster. I need to fight something, But man, if it wasn't that full picture, it would just be like, I wouldn't do it. Yeah.
I really love just sometimes when I GM, I'm just like, I just need to run a really mean dungeon crawl. I just need to. My favorite trap is the metal heated hallway, ending with a room with I think it's 8 ghouls, in White Plume Mountain. That's my favorite trap. I freaking love that trap.
I think
sometimes you just need to be a little evil.
Yeah.
And that's fair.
100,000 billion% agree. I have one of my favorite traps. I got inspired by it. It's not my full creation, but I was very much inspired by something I saw, and it was just this moment where I felt so devious, and I was like, "This is what we're gonna do." And I put all my players in a room, and they are trying. There's like, there was daggers sitting on like ritual platforms, and then there was framed paintings and stuff that matched all of the different like kingdoms and their like kings and queens and all that stuff, and it was all around, and it seemed like this big puzzle. And as soon as the door shut, the timer went off, and these runes were glowing on the top.
I've heard of this one.
You heard this thing? And then yes, and it was so fun to watch everyone panic for so long until you realize that the answer to the issue was just, or the answer to the puzzle was just let the timer go. Like, yeah, it is my favorite thing. And you just sit there as your players are like, we don't know what's going on. Just give us the answer. And I'm like, no.
How long did they work on that again, Josh? What was the?
It was way too long.
The evil part.
Yeah,
the evil part was how long you let them do that.
Yeah. There's the emotional part, and then also sometimes it's just really fun just to have some slapstick going on and like just hit things and just do a silly little dungeon crawl. I love
1,000%.
Fucking those.
Yes, I love it. We are one and the same. I will tell you, it is so good.
Yes,
it's the best. Have you let's see. Have you run any games yourself, like full length campaigns yet?
I have not completed a full length campaign yet, but I am. In terms of completion, we're about 50% through Wild Beyond the Witchlight. I'm running for a group of my friends. We've been playing it for, I'd say, about a year and a half. It's probably more like a year in terms of actual playtime because I had to put it on hiatus this summer, real life reasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we're about 50% through. I'm really more of a player than a GM. I got into GMing because I wanted to play more D&D.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to play more games with my friends. It's not where my heart lies, but I am having a lot of fun with Wild Beyond the Witchlight. I like running combat, so I added more combat than it is as written. We're not running the Witchlight pacifist route that some people really talk up. I don't think that's not fun for me. My friends are a bunch of silly little power gamers whom I love, so they want to hit things, they want to make the big numbers.
Yeah, of course.
And that kind of thing. So,
do you enjoy the aspect of trying to break a game? And I don't mean it like in a negative way. I mean like pushing the boundaries to a game to see what things that your character is able to do and what limits you can break in a game.
Yeah. I don't think it's that so much as I like finding those unexpected combos.
Mm-hmm.
I like finding those little synergies that work together really well, and I like to try and find the ones that aren't talked about a bunch when it comes to D&D 5e, because of course everybody knows the Paladin Hexblade multiclass. Everybody knows that one, but since Tasha's Cauldron of Everything came out, did you know that there is a high-level Ranger feature that lets you use your bonus action to turn invisible until the beginning of your next turn? Now, if you multiclass that with Rogue, if you take a Gloomstalker Ranger, multiclass it with a Rogue, you now turn invisible as a bonus action at the beginning of your turn.
Yes.
And have it, you can attack while invisible. If you play an elf or half elf for that, now you can take the elven accuracy feat, and now you have the elven accuracy darkness hack, but in a way that doesn't affect your party negatively.
Yes.
And you're all there you go, folks.
Yeah, I love that. That is fantastic. I love your knowledge on being able to, like, you take things that people would typically overlook sometimes and combine them to make something that is so amazingly useful. The
darkness issue is such a thing. So
not gonna lie, darkness is soft banned at my tables. I'm like, if you're playing tiefling and you want to take another second level no damage spell, please, for the love of fucking God, do not cast darkness at my table. I hate it. I had a bad experience with somebody playing a shadow sorcerer who was not being party minded.
Oh, no.
I'm like, don't cast darkness.
I have a character that can do it, and I just keep thinking, this doesn't make sense for the rest of the party. I just feel like I can't do it.
Yeah.
Because that's such a big deal for me. Is I don't want to mess up everyone else by doing that. But you're right. There are some players who just are like.
Part of it was a me problem. This person was not a power gamer. This person wasn't doing it to be a power gamer. They were playing a shadow sorcerer, and one of the features of that is that you can cast magical darkness and you can see through it. And me as a GM, I did not realize what they wanted, what they kept doing, and what was causing the issues was they were centering the darkness on thing they were fighting, or a piece of clothing that the thing they were fighting was wearing, and moving it so that it was centered on this thing that they were fighting. The entire party was spellcasters, and so now nobody else in the party can see the thing they're fighting.
Yeah.
Turns out you can't do that. If you want to cast it on an object, it has to be an object you are holding, or it has to be a fixed point in space.
Isn't that just the best when you think a player is breaking your game, and it turns out I just didn't know the rules quite good enough in that moment.
Yeah.
I had a character.
Even after that, they still kept like being like, "Okay, I'll cast it on the spot that person is standing in."
It literally happened.
That campaign did not. That campaign fizzled out pretty quickly after.
Yeah, I still like it. Totally happened. I had a character who literally broke one of my bosses, and then I realized in the end that we misread the process. And then of course the next time it happens, they're like, I'm ready. And I was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I could tell that they felt really bad. Thankfully he's he's a grown man. He was like, I'm just here to have fun. It's no big. Like, it was all great. Thanks Steve. But I felt so bad because it was like, he felt so good about what he had figured out. And then I had to be like, oh, actually you can't do that anymore.
Yeah. This player had the best of intentions for sure. Just didn't work the way it was planned. And it was kind of a learning experience, I think, of needing them to realize, like, hey, if somebody's playing a spellcaster, they need to be able to see the thing. You're like canceling out what other people are trying to do, and they're like, oh God, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I kind of miss those moments around the table. I've been DMing so long that I haven't been a player for as long, I guess I could say. And I was a player in my first like couple of sessions, and immediately I thought, I want to DM because I want to control just the world. I have such a terrible like brain when it comes to like waiting for information. I will specifically not watch a television show until like either the season is completed or like a good amount of episodes are out, because I hate that knowing that I'm going to get hooked onto something and then not knowing what's going to happen. And so like as a player, it is so hard for me to just
as
your DM, I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's so fun. One of the things that I have been told is like, one of the things that my Magnificence GM loves about playing with me is how much I love not knowing things.
Noah is 1,000% the same way.
They made me a channel in our campaign Discord that's called Sparkle Emoji Rosie's Conspiracy Corner Sparkle Emoji.
Yes, I just like to lead into, if you're not telling me, okay, then I'm just going to do it. I love it. That's part of the story for me.
It's so
Whereas
fun.
Josh will literally be like, is there any way you could tell us more about what you just said?
Yeah.
And I'll just be like, nope, I can't do that.
Let me just show you.
Let me just show you guys. Just enjoy it, buddy.
This is the Sage folder. Sage is my Magnificence character.
Yeah? I love that you have a folder.
Oh yeah, this is what I do for all my D&D characters. And so I have her backstory all written out. It's in timeline form, so it's dated.
You are the perfect player.
Character sheet, spell cards. I've got cantrips, rituals, and then sorted by spell level.
These physical medium players right here. Yes.
The preparation work are we talking about here?
But wait, there's
awesome.
more. This is the 5 kingdoms of the empire, the noble houses of each of them, their nicknames, the major cities, minor cities and locations, geographic features, and a short description for all 5 kingdoms. Here we have my character's personal quest information. This is a list and descriptions of all the factions and organizations that we've been introduced to.
God.
This is information and legends on the deities of the world. This is a GM screen I bought on Etsy as a PDF and just print off that has a bunch of rules.
This is, oh my God! You are the DM's perfect player. Like, this is like,
I do this because I suck at taking notes.
Yeah, and then there's I love the idea that, like, you know, you show up with the whole folder, you have everything ready, and then like there's the other players who show up and they're like, all right,
my name's Fart Nugget and I'm a bard.
Well, it made my heart so happy because I realized Grace, one of my fellow players in Magnificence, took a photo of her setup the first time that we played together, just being like, we're going to want to look back at this. Let me take a photo of everybody, like the Riverside and everything. And I saw that she had my Google Doc that I sent to everyone of one of those cheat sheets pulled up for her reference. I went,
oh,
I love that.
And they're all saying, thank you back because we needed this.
I do it because I'm really bad at taking notes in session. It just takes me out of things too much. I do a screen recording for myself so that I can go back and watch it again without having to bother our producer to send me the file. And I need to have I love having that information in front of me to just casually just drop something that hasn't been said in character yet and just like sound super smart. Because I'm playing a wizard, I have to sound super smart.
Of course.
And it's so that I can have that information and be able to, like, if the GM drops a little hint, I'm like, that sounds familiar. I can check and find it and be like, I'm connecting the dots.
Oh my God. Yeah. Meanwhile, everyone else, the DM drops that perfect, little detail, and they're like, the DM watches everyone's face to see if anybody picks up on it, and everybody's like, yeah, all right, whatever. It's a rock. What do you want from us?
This just happened. This just happened in our last campaign. I was like, things have happened. We haven't met for a while. And so I'm like, but I know everything. So I'm telling everybody, and my player is like, and I'm like, there was a clue if you remember the conversation that you had about this situation. And he just goes, basically, what? Like, I know, like, I remember the conversation, but like, so he was very good. And Chris is fantastic, very experienced player. He just went, well, player Chris does not know, so I'm going to roll a history check to see if my character does remember. Yeah, and he rolled good and high, and so we were able to give him the clue. But I was just like, oh, yep, I when you have some time jumps between your sessions, you have to remember. I remember every little thing that I say to these guys. They maybe are not going to recall that, oh, he looked at this person when he said that, and maybe that's important,
I just posted a clip on Instagram. I think it was last week I posted it, where Grace is talking. It's a one-on-one. No, it wasn't one-on-one, but I wasn't on screen, so to speak. You know what I mean? We don't record video for Magnificence, but I have my screen recording. And there's a point where Grace was doing something using a feature, and as G is explaining it and they're talking, I make this face. And G comments on it out loud because Grace is like, I see this, I really want to later do this, and then G starts giggling in the background and goes, Rosie just realized something. And I was listening to the screen recording away from my computer. I had my Bluetooth headphones on. I was cleaning. I had to go back to my computer and rewind it and watch my face. I literally go,
yeah, there you go.
It's so funny. And G commented, I got permission to post it, and G commented, this face combined with the Grace saying my tummy hurts are all the motivation I need to drop some sickening lore. And I was like, I'm so glad that people appreciate this, because it feels so obnoxious when I do it. But
I
you know
love
what?
that.
Oh no, well, an invested player is just the best.
Well, so so obviously you know your character inside and out. You know everything about what's, you basically any interaction that your character is going to have. And I know we had mentioned this before the recording aspect, but when it comes to role playing at the table, role playing with other members around the table, but also role playing with your DM. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I had mentioned before, because we were talking about Noah joining us and having more than 2 people here. Before I got into AP stuff, I was so intimidated by the idea of just having a one-on-one conversation role play scene with the GM. And I would always be like, can another character come with me? Like, I'm just so much more comfortable with like more people to bounce off of.
Right.
And that's I describe it as I'm that writer's room type writer. I want somebody else there with me. That's also part of the fun of playing these games to me is, if I wanted to just go back and forth with one person, with the GM, we'd just be doing text-based roleplay or something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. A lot of the appeal of playing TTRPGs for me is that interaction with the other players. That's what's every single GM I play with, I promise I love you. I love your stories. I love your NPCs. I love you. Do not get me wrong. But what I'm here for is the party dynamics.
That's exactly what I am. I love interacting with the other players.
Yeah.
So much.
And it's so weird because I don't know what's up with my brain. Because like I said earlier, I do have pretty bad social anxiety. But it's mostly in those more private situations for some reason. When it comes to Discord, I don't DM people unless it's like, this needs to be private. This is a business conversation. Or if you're somebody that I'm like already close with. But I'd rather be in a group chat anytime, any day. Just for some reason, being one-on-one with the GM really used to scare me. And now that I've gotten more into like, okay, let's get into the performing brain, let's get into actor brain, I just get so into the character's brain that I've gotten a lot better at it, I think. I don't know if I've gotten better at it so much as I've gotten more comfortable with it. I think.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I totally get what you mean. There's something about going into that space in your brain that's just like, again, I mentioned it in the past, I think too. It's just like, well, this is what we're here for. This is what we're doing. And it just it gives you're giving yourself permission almost, I think, in your brain to just like, hell yeah, I'm going to just go all in.
Oh yeah, it might be that too. Cause I have a lot of, I worry a lot about talking too much and being too much of a spotlight hog or whatever. And that I think is part of it too, is we're like, oh no, I don't want to, you can have your one-on-one scene, but me, I'm built different. If I have a one-on-one scene, that's spotlight hogging. It's not when you do it.
Right.
Not when you do it. Let me be clear. You're great. I love listening to this.
We had a player.
No.
We had a player in one of the games that Josh runs periodically, and he literally, Josh was really zeroing in on something going on with that player, and he was just like, I feel like I want to explore this, but I'm worried that I'm taking too much. And me and the other players were like, no, we really like this. This is interesting. Please keep doing this. And he was like, oh, okay. And we had to like tell him like, no, we're enjoying this too. It's fine. Like we all get our turns, and I don't feel like it's not my turn just because the story is for me just as much as it is for you. So, I want to see what's going on with your character as much as I want to forward my own personal stuff as well, because it's our story. What happens to you is important to me. So,
of course.
Yeah, it's really something that because I was always worried, like from day zero, I was like, I'm going to be playing in a D&D campaign. I need to make sure I'm not spotlight hogging. So we mentioned Ginny D earlier. She has that video that's like, oh, tips for selfish role players. And I was like, from day zero, like I've made my first ever D&D character. This video is my Bible. And it's been a very intentional thing for me. But also in like moving forward time and gaining my confidence and stuff, I'm realizing like, yes, I did that on purpose, but also I love doing that.
Of course.
So
yeah,
being able to like know those things like, oh, I know this other character is good at that, so let me pull them into this scene to help my character with the thing.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
That's so awesome. That's like, and that's really where you fit, where as a DM you feel like, okay, this player gets it. This player is helping me with this adventure. We're building this together. Like you're like helping write the story in a real tangible way, not just in how you roll your dice, but in saying, oh no, can you come with me? I want you to help me. And you're tuning into that stuff. And instead of the DM having to be like, this player, this is, and kind of direct it, you're doing that. You're helping. And that's just
right.
Yeah.
You feel
that's
in
also
sync.
Part of why I like playing those like mundane human characters who don't have like, I'm not the chosen one. Let me be clear about that, because they get to ask the questions.
Yeah,
they get to ask the questions, and I love being nosy and sticking my nose where it does not belong and fucking around and finding out. I love that so much. It's so much fun to me. That's another common thread among my characters is like, they're literally just a guy and they shouldn't be here, but they are anyway.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I love those kind of tropes. I also always love when there's when a player comes up with a character that doesn't have a stereotypically like horrifying background. When it's like
Sage is my first character that's ever had a dead parent. That's not like, okay, I do have one character that had dead parents before that, but she was evil and they're dead because her sibling wanted their inheritance.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't care. She's evil. Sage is my first character that's ever had a dead parent, because I tend to have the motivations of just like curiosity and like wanting glory and wanting to explore the world and stuff. And the trauma can happen during the story instead of before it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. One of my upcoming characters for a campaign a friend of ours wants to start at some point is a bard that he checked in with me several times. Are you sure there's nothing going on? And I'm like, no, he's good. He's had fun, and now he's just like, he's so used to going solo with his little music gig, and now wants to just follow along. He's really not bothered. And he was just like, if you're sure. I'm like, I'm sorry if you want to embed my character in some storyline, but I promise he's just kind of here to see what's up. And
and I'll tell you, the only reason that Sage has a dead mother is because I like single parent narratives. And at some point, you run out of ways to make the parent single without one of them being dead. Sorry.
All right, finally I'll make one of them dead.
Yeah, damn it. All right, one of them's dead now.
Fine.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Now just watch your DM suddenly make your dead parent appear to you sometime during the campaign.
Oh yeah,
no,
that's gonna happen. Yeah.
That would be so bad. They're like, you thought.
Oh, that would be interesting. That would be interesting, but also that would make more issues for her dad than it would for her.
Yeah.
So
yeah, of course I speak that having no idea about anything, but that
was actually Sage being able to see her dad was actually like one of the first like one-on-one GM and player scenes that I ever had in Magnificence. And I'm gonna be real, I like just kind of blacked out, and I was like, oh. Because I was really, really nervous about it.
Yeah, of course.
I was so nervous. And then it was done, and I was like, oh shit, that was like a half-hour role-playing. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I love that you you put so much time and effort into these characters and stuff, and it's definitely something that's very difficult for, especially like new players or players who have not found, their voice yet or their confidence and stuff. For someone who truly loves doing these things, what is some advice that you could give? Either new players or players who've been playing for a while but are just not certain about the voice they want to do or getting into the character, really diving into that role play aspect.
Yeah. So in general, my number one piece of advice is always give a fuck.
That's fair. I like it.
Get invested in the world.
Yes.
Figure out what your character gives a fuck about.
Yes. Yeah, of course. Yes.
It really is. I've been told my passion is one of the number one reasons that I'm fun to play with. And just find something for your character to care about. That's the number one thing. And make it something that's not in their backstory, per se. It could be in their backstory in the way of like, they've... I don't know where I'm going with this. Try and find something that they can care about that other characters care about as well, I think is what I'm trying
something
to get
that
at
helps
here.
them, that really helps give them a reason to be doing what they're doing with the people that they're with. It's just like, I'm on this dark, mysterious path to answer the questions of my childhood. It's like, well, nobody else probably, maybe they'll start to care about that once they get to know you. But like, what makes you think that going with these people is necessarily going to answer that?
Sure.
That requires a whole lot of more work on, working with your DM, and that can be great. But also, let's also just have some good reasons why you're here now.
Yeah.
I think that's so true.
Yeah, and just let yourself feel the emotion. It's a scary and vulnerable thing. It's really the number one thing. When I was younger, I was told I was too sensitive and I needed to be less sensitive. But it was a good thing that I was sensitive, because that meant that I would have empathy. And empathy is a useful thing to have. But I never really felt like it was being useful for me until I started doing more intense like role play and acting and stuff. And I realized like, oh, me getting so deeply into character right now is just me going, how would it feel to be in this situation? And then just actually feeling those things in front of the camera. We just released, I think it was episode 4 of our Candela campaign is up on YouTube now. And I was not looking at the screen the whole time we were recording that. And the things my face was doing, I was like, oh God, I was in it. just give yourself permission to actually feel those things, and don't it's just getting into that skin and getting into those emotions, and that's scary, and that's vulnerable, and you have to take care of yourself. You have to make sure you're being safe about it, because like I said earlier, those last 2 episodes of our Candela game like genuinely messed with me out of character for a while. Character bleed can be hard, and it can be scary, and it can mess you up. But if you really want to be getting into character, you have to let yourself feel those feelings in your heart.
You gotta lean in. You gotta lean into it.
I love that so much. Definitely things that I could improve on in like my own, role playing and stuff. But it is definitely a question I always love asking, because it is a very difficult thing to kind of allow yourself to, feel those feelings. I think there's sometimes you'll find players who just see D&D as a game that you can win. And then there are games where, they see it as it's just a game. And I think those two things will sometimes limit somebody's ability to enjoy the campaign for what it is, but also enjoy their character for what they are. And it is truly something like I came up with. I wanted to challenge myself recently. It's the character that I've created actually for Noah's campaign. His name is Vor. He's a Shatterkai, and but the thing that I wanted to challenge myself on is because I often feel what you had described earlier, which is sometimes I feel like I do, kind of take over. I kind of spotlight myself sometimes, and so I created a character who speaks very like calmly, clearly, speaks to the point, does not go on tangents, but also is someone who isn't afraid to disguise themselves as someone else and take on a different personality and stuff. It's not something that I have done yet into the game because I haven't had the opportunity, set yet. But it is one of those things where I it'll be fun to be able to explore different aspects of Vor's mind, while also, when people ask, because technically, he's a Shatterkai and stuff, they sit down and they say, oh, Vor, come have a drink with us. And I say, well, I don't need to drink. There's no need for me to drink, or, hey, let's sit down, let's have a meal. And I don't need to eat. And so like, I'm purposefully pulling myself away from the group constantly so that, the day that it becomes like I'm attempting to encourage the interaction from the other players to like pull my character in. And it's been a challenging trope that I've wanted to try for a while. And I've been working on, trying to figure out finding, Vor's full entire personality, while also desperately not taking the spotlight. And it has been something that I enjoy doing the voice, but it is sometimes it's I'm a very bubbly, happy, go lucky person. So like when we're doing combat and we're joking around, we're having, fun times, I'm laughing my ass off. I'm joking. I'm making comments. I'm being goofy and stuff. And I could be laughing and goofy and stuff. And then they'll be like, and then I talk to Vor and I have to, and I go, yes.
I feel that.
You know what I mean?
So
it's
much.
like I have to now not be the fun, happy, bubbly guy anymore.
Sage as a character is very stern. She's y'all know anime. She's very tsundere. But it's a fun thing because she's, again, sticking her nose where it doesn't belong into other people's business. Her biggest trait is her curiosity and her wonder at the world and her want to know. But it's so fun. But also sometimes I'm like, okay, hang on, I need to go. Sage face. Okay, sage face.
Yeah.
Sage face.
Oh,
what
yeah.
the fuck?
Oh yeah, sometimes
I love that.
There's really me going, okay, gremlin time. Okay, hang on, I need to ask you something.
Literally see Josh like rubbing his face sometimes, and I can just tell he's like, oh, I got it, and he's so committed. It's so good.
Literally yesterday, I got to play an edgy 13-year-old that was trying so hard to pretend that she doesn't care about anything. It was so funny. That's so funny.
That's my favorite thing to
therapeutic.
do. Whatever.
Wow.
I love it. Oh my God, that is so amazing. I gotta say, just unbelievably, thank you so immensely for joining me and Noah here today for this
Thank you for having me.
wonderful episode. This has truly been amazing. I am so excited to see where you go from here. I would say if you have any plans for your own content creation stuff, go for it and let me know, because I want to consume it. It is
absolutely. Thank you.
You have such an amazing mind and creativity, and your organization is literally what every DM in the world wants. And it is so incredible. So thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah.
I'm so thrilled that we were able to put this together. At the end of every episode, I always love to keep the floor completely open, so that our guest of the show can plug anything and everything that you would like to plug. And I mean anything and anything from the projects you're working on now, something that you enjoyed from a sandwich you had last week that was just divine. We want to hear it all. And then after the end of the recording, I'll have you send me those links. And I always put every link at the bottom of the description under each episode.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to find me on social media and keep up with stuff I'm doing in the future, my social media handle on every single platform is Rosatyrs. That's ROSATYRS, like Rosie and the little goat folk, and you smush them together and you get Rosatyrs. I am a cast member on Tabletop Tailspinners Network, mainly Magnificence that we've talked about, where I play Sage. It's a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition podcast. It's a very dark fantasy. There's a lot of hubris. There's a lot of sad stuff. But it's a really fascinating world. G from day zero when I had my initial interview, just the plot hooks. Their plot hooks, they just get ya. They just reach out with their hands through the screen and they get ya. I really hope people enjoy it. Other shows from Tabletop Tail Spinners. Tabletop Tail Spinners was founded by Emma Kosar. It is a network that is dedicated to giving a voice and the resources needed to create the stories for people who are not typically the ones you hear from. Every single podcast at the moment is led by a femme GM, femme show writer.
Yes.
Diversity is our number one priority
Hell
on TTN.
Yes.
Other shows on the network, Improv Madness, which is usually Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. We've got some other episodes with other systems coming up in the pipeline. That is a show where literally everything about the one shot we play is determined by the dice. Everything from your species, class, background, magic item, subclass, everything is determined by a roll of the dice, including the monster we fight, the setting, how the party met, everything.
Oh,
and
love
then
it.
That's awesome.
Chronicles Kriath is also run by Emma. That is the original show that started TTN. It's another Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition podcast. The fan favorite on the network, though, is All Our Faults, which is a Monster Hearts 2 actual play podcast. If you like trauma, you will enjoy All Our Faults.
Wow.
Definitely the fan favorite. Led up by Winter is the GM of that. She is also a cast member on Magnificence as well. Other than that, you can find me. I've been on Game Master Monday. I've been on Twisted Fates, other actual play channels in the space. Oh, I almost forgot. Also from TTN, we're now launching our Twitch channel. We have started doing, right now we are doing bi-weekly every other Friday evening. We are playing Monsters and Other Childish Things, which is an indie TTRPG system. We are all playing 8-year-olds with our terrible, terrible monsters.
Wow.
Monsters and Other Childish Things is a system that is about what if the terrifying monsters that 8-year-olds and kids create in their minds, you know, the Mr. Sparkles who wants to eat the principal's face and leave stains in the carpet, but like he's your best friend, so can you really be mad at him?
Wow. I love it.
We play that every other Friday on the Tabletop Tail Spinners Twitch channel, and we have more series coming in the pipeline for that, so stay.
Awesome.
We're gonna have a lot coming up in October on there. What else? I guess I'll plug Transformation Project South Dakota. This is something that I'm barely involved with because I just donate a lot of money and I'm very passionate about this charity. I live in South Dakota. South Dakota is not a safe place to live if you are not a cisgender person. I have a lot of friends and family who are not cisgender who have had to leave.
Oh my goodness.
And Transformation Project South Dakota is an organization that is working to change that through education and empowerment. They make a huge difference in my community. And yesterday was day before yesterday was my 30th birthday. And
oh my goodness.
If you want to get me a birthday gift, go donate to Transformation Project South Dakota.
Oh, hell yeah.
I will definitely link that at the bottom.
Yeah. If you go to my card, which is what I'll give you to link, all of my social medias, all of my projects are all linked on there. So,
that's amazing.
And that'll stay updated as we move forward in time, and who knows what's going to come next. I don't know.
Man,
I love it.
I'm telling you, to be even associated by this way, our show with creators and networks that stand for the things that you're speaking to. I mean, that is such an honor for us here. That is so where we're at. We are allies. We are proponents, we are feminists, we are there, and we're so just so honored to have you and to be even associated in this way. It's just amazing.
I am happy to be like y'all. I had such a great time talking to y'all, so thank you so much for having me.
So fun.
Thank you. If you want to find ourselves, Noah, where can we find you?
Oh, well, I most of the time you'll find me just right here hanging out. But here and there I upload to Nerdy Noah Reads. It's just a little YouTube channel I got going on where I go over different news releases in the gaming TTRPG D&D space, and sometimes we read through them and just kind of talk about it, see what's going on. So if you like kind of monotone reading and discussion,
it really is soothing. Honestly, I do love it.
Give it a shot. Still working on some technical stuff to get it back up and running, but we have a couple episodes in the backlog. So
love it.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to find us or myself or the show or everything about it all, there we go. Nailed that. Got it in one. You can find us on Instagram, the Who What Now Pod. You can find myself on Instagram at Phoenix Stewart. You can find us streaming on Twitch every Saturday, Sunday, and Monday morning. We have a good old time. We have a fantastic community. And we talk a lot about, the things that are coming up with the show and things that, funny moments that have happened before and amazing moments that I look forward to releasing. But most importantly, join us on the Discord. It's a fantastic community. If you ever want to see my wife make fun of me on there, that's where to go. If you want to join in on, making fun of me about, my ability to speak, read, and play video games, Twitch is where it's at.
It's all out of love.
So all out of love. But as always, to our wonderful guest here today, thank you so much for being here. Noah, thank you so much for co-hosting this episode. And to all of you viewers, thank you so much for hanging out here, listening to these episodes. Thank you so much for all the support. And as always, please go outside, look up at the sky, feel the sun in your face, hug a tree and high five a squirrel, and try not to mess up your outro every single time.
Go
and
touch grass.
We will absolutely catch you on the next one. Yeah, figure it out.